Chris?
I guess we're gonna eat this humble pie, man.
Oh, I'm eating crow. I'm eating so much crow. God, that sucked, and we were so wrong.
Oh man, that's
So
why it's my
wrong.
name today.
Let's get this sucker started.
Get dialed in, Panthers fans. Here comes an in-depth look at your team. Exclusive interviews. Locker room insight. Ready? Let's huddle up.
Let's just do it, okay?
For Panthers Playbook, driven by Carolina Ford dealers. Here are your hosts, Dennis Cox and Chris Lea.
Welcome back to another episode of Panthers Playbook. That's Chris Lea, Dennis Cox here with you. Panthers lose this one 36-10 on the road to the Chicago Bears. By the way, leave your thoughts in the comment section on this game because the defense was dreadful. Offense outside of an early touchdown by Chuba Hubbard didn't really show a whole lot. But before we get into all that, Panthers Playbook brought to you by our friends over at Carolina Ford Dealers. With the Ford F-150 on your team, it's game on. See your Carolina Ford dealer today. Chris, not many people in the media will openly say when they're wrong. And you and I are going to sit here and openly say that we were wrong.
I'll say it all day.
I will 100% say, boy, I was wrong.
My positioning in media is not about me being right or wrong, by the way.
Yeah.
it's about the work that I do, not about me being right or wrong.
You know,
that's why I don't mind saying I'm wrong.
You and I both had a feeling. We had some conviction going into this game. Like, hey, you know what? I legit think that the Panthers could win this one. And no, instead, it was the Bears putting boots to you-know-what for 60 minutes.
You know, we drank the Kool-Aid. You know, you
And
literally drank the Kool-Aid.
And someone spiked it.
Yeah, and you know, because we saw a really good team, you know, in a way that we haven't seen them in a while, like really since December 24th of 2022 when they spanked the Lions. And it was the best offensive game ever for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
And we see this game versus Las Vegas, and we're like, wow, that's good. And then me and you at the game last week.
Yeah.
And we look at it and we're like, listen, the Cincinnati Bengals didn't beat the Panthers. The Panthers lost that game.
Yeah, too many mistakes. And they showed up again in Chicago.
But in this case right here, the Panthers just got their butts kicked, man.
Straight up.
And, you know, the defense was absolutely exposed. It shows the lack of depth outside of the starters that's there. I think we started to feel good about some of the depth pieces. No. There's still a lot of work to be done. You know, there are guys that just aren't ready. Nick Scott did not look like a starter today at all. You know, JC Horn hasn't had his best stretch of time. Like JC Horn is always best before he's injured. And I feel like he's going to have a full season with the Panthers because he has not been playing.
No, he really hasn't been. He really hasn't.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
And it's so much self-inflicted stuff that we saw show up early in this game. For example, it was 14-7. It's with about 5 minutes to go or so. Actually, more about like 6.5 minutes left to go in the second quarter. Chicago has the ball in their own territory, 3rd and 11. And Nick Scott has an open chance to get a tackle on the backup tight end, Gerald Everett, the backup tight end for Chicago, about 3 yards short of the line to gain. Nick Scott whiffs. And sure enough, first down. Chicago moves the ball. They get into plus territory. Then Trevin Wallace actually makes a 4th down stop. Okay, no harm done in terms of on the scoreboard, but the defense had to stay out on the field longer. It's like you have to help yourself. Like Nick Scott, you got to make a tackle on that play. The guy's short of the sticks. Wrap him up, bring him down. Now again, Trevin Wallace made a play. But then on the ensuing drive, the Panthers are moving the ball down the field. It's 3rd and short. Jadeveon Sanders, ball goes right through his hands. And now his pass was like right above his head. It goes right through his hands. If he catches that ball, he steps out of bounds. It's first down. And then instead, it's 4th down. The Panthers don't convert on 4th down. Before you know it, the Bears score 2 more times. 2 more times after that. You have to help yourself. You have to help yourself. I put so much of this. We can talk about Evero's scheme, which hasn't seemed to work since he's gotten here, in all honesty, for the most part, not on a consistent basis. But the players got to help themselves. And like Jadeveon Sanders, I'll bring you up again. Dude, you're pulling up short. Like, making business decisions on slant routes there in the second half. Like, dude, what are you doing?
You know what the most automatic play in sports is?
What's that?
Any offense at the goal line versus the Panthers defense, because you're going to score.
Yeah,
you are going to score.
Yep.
And I'm so disappointed in what this defense looks like. Now, granted, there's so many injuries, and now it looks like Jadeveon Clowney has an injury. We'll see how long that's going to hamper him. Of course, have all these different starters out with, Derrick Brown getting injured at the beginning of the season. Shai Tuttle just came back. Of course, Shaq Thompson done for the year. Dane Jackson hasn't even played a snap yet.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Wanham hasn't played a snap yet. There's a lot kind of happening, a lot going on with that. But the depth is not what we thought it was at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. And also that goes along with the scheme. Like, I'm sorry, the defense sucks, man. Like, just to put it out there,
flat
the
out
defense
bad.
really sucks. And I'm not used to not having faith in the Panthers defense. Like, at what point do you get tired of, giving up 30 a game?
Yeah.
And
right.
like the one game you didn't do it was the one game you won. Other than that, like, teams are just pouring it in on you. And you can't tackle anybody. You can't get off the field on third down. You're not covering. You're there's all these, different communication mistakes. Like one miscommunication. Okay. Maybe it's the players on the field. Multiple miscommunications, multiple players, multiple times, don't know their assignments, passing things off to guys who just aren't there. Like that. At some point you got to look at the coaching. Now, I'll say this about offense, right? I think the one of the parts about on the offensive side that I'm starting to notice about Dave Canales that I don't like, and I hope he is able to go back and fix that. Chuba Hubbard, after that 38-yard touchdown run, the next possession when the Panthers are back on the field, it's Miles Sanders in the backfield.
Yeah. And
you go away from the run and you start throwing. I thought the run was the heart of this offense.
Supposed to be.
And like this is some of that. Like, my mic came off.
You might just need to hold that thing. Yeah.
This is some of that Matt Rule stuff happening where Matt Rule said, hey, we're going to be a running team. This is going to be our thing. And all of a sudden there's no run at all.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Are you serious? Like, we're paying attention to what you're saying. We're looking for what you're saying. And if Chuba Hubbard is far and away your best running back and just broke a 38-yarder for a touchdown, why on the very next offensive possession is he out of the game with Miles Sanders? I know you're paying him. Miles Sanders, by the way, I think this is what I said about Christian McCaffrey a few years ago. I think Miles Sanders is better as a slot receiver. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he might be actually.
Like
he might be.
Put him in a slot receiver, because like some of those actions where they're motioning him in the backfield with Chuba back there, I absolutely love it. And I feel like they run some of their best offense out of those sets. But Chuba Hubbard needs to be in there. You need to have a steady dose of him. Let's go. How many?
He had 13 carries today. He had 13 carries today.
That's not enough for 97 yards. By the way. If somebody's averaging 7.5, like, okay, I get it. Like, towards the end of the game, you need to throw a little bit more. So that takes away some of the carries. But that's also going back to the beginning of the game where you stopped using him as a runner. Chuba needs to run it minimum 20 times per game.
Yeah.
Minimum 20 times per game. Give Miles Sanders and whoever else the other 10. But minimum for Chuba Hubbard, 20 times per game. That's a failure for Dave Canales.
So back to the defense real fast, because you brought up something about the red zone. The Panthers last year, when we talked about how their defense was so good, my big gripe was that they were good, they weren't great. And one of the biggest pullbacks was the red zone. Defensively in the red zone, the Panthers were 28th in the NFL last season in terms of red zone touchdown percentage. That's 5th worst in the league. Teams, when they got in the red zone last year, were 63% scoring in the red zone. Touchdowns, not just field goals, touchdowns. Going into today, the Panthers were dead last in the NFL. Teams were scoring nearly 92% of the time when they got into the red zone. Touchdowns, not held to field goals, touchdowns. 4 red zone trips today for the Bears, 3 touchdowns. 4 red zone trips, 3 touchdowns for the Bears today. That's no bueno. And then you talk about the offense. I went back looking at the play sheet. So they got the touchdown. That was Chuba Hubbard's second run of the game, by the way, that 38-yarder. He had a couple catches in there beforehand. But on that next drive, he carried the ball twice and picked up a first down. And then it was Dalton pass, offensive penalty, Dalton pass, Dalton sacked after that. So it's like again, where's the consistency in the run game? And then the Bears go up 14-7. And then it was pass, Miles Sanders run, Dalton pass, 3 and out. So it's like, and then the following drive, Chuba Hubbard gets a carry, then Dalton gets sacked, and then Tommy Tremble, unfortunately, gets knocked out right after that. So after he scores the touchdown, on the next 3 drives, he gets 3 carries. I think I just read there. That's it on the next 3 drives for Chuba Hubbard after he got the 38-yard. I'm like, not enough.
It's not enough.
Not enough.
And
it's simply not enough.
That's the part where, like, we have to realize, like, Dave Canales is growing as a play caller.
Oh, yeah. He's still super young at this thing.
Today was not a good day for that. And I'm going to be real. Last week wasn't very good either. It's just that his team played through it.
Yeah. And Bengals defense, not that great. Bears have a really good defense, by the way.
I will say, let me see. What's the updated score? Because I think the Bengals are doing pretty good. Oh, never mind.
They were 38-38.
Baltimore came back.
They came out to win.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was 38-38.
Baltimore came back. I didn't realize they came back. But it's head scratching to see like what the I don't sometimes you don't know what the goal is with the team. But also, as I said, Dave Canales is trying to find himself. Here's the other part too that was a little bit head scratching. I sent you the video after the Chuba Hubbard touchdown.
Yeah.
Where like literally for 38 yards, he wasn't touched.
No, yeah.
Like that. It was crazy. And so it was
beautiful.
Great for the offensive line. Like that was that's the teach tape right there. Mm-hmm. Like this is what we look like when we're at our best. And after that, the offensive line took a nosedive. Like, there is a few things like we haven't seen the line bad like that since last year. Even with all the bad play, the offensive line was consistently the best. Mm-hmm. And even they didn't have their best day. Like, I got to give it up to the Bears, man.
Oh, yeah.
They did their thing. Like,
they did it.
It like Bears at the first drive didn't look very good. And it looked like, okay, the Panthers keep doing this. What me and you said on Thursday is going to come true. That was not the case. And I got to give it to the Bears. They adjusted. The Panthers did not adjust. And if they did try to adjust, they didn't do it very well. And we saw what the end result was. And it's just not good enough.
No, far from it. And I feel like we're back to that moment where just a couple weeks ago where it's like, man, we have nothing but questions and very, very few answers or potential answers. And to see guys, the guys you're hoping on get counted, like guys getting hurt today, like Tommy Tremble knocked out the concussion. Jadeveon Sanders with the shoulder injury. Xavier Legette left with a shoulder injury. I was hoping for a big day from him.
Clowney with the shoulder.
I'm sorry, Clowney. Yeah. Clowney with the shoulder injury. Legette had a shoulder injury. Yosh Nijman had to come in for Taylor Moton with the elbow. I think it was a biceps injury for Austin Corbett. So Brady Christensen had to come in. Guys were dropping left and right. And then sure enough, J.C. Horn gets ejected. And then all of a sudden, Nick Scott now wants to go hit somebody. Like, imagine that. Like, oh, now you guys want to get mad and try and do something. It's like, cool when it's 36-10, like awesome, like real cool. Like it just there's so much about this team, like you said, Chris, is just head scratching and something. I don't know what it is that has to change, but something's got to change real fast. I do not like this defense. I know it was good last year, and then by the way, speaking of guys that were missed, how about our boy DJ Moore? Catching 2 tutties today.
Boy, I couldn't even be mad.
I couldn't be mad.
I couldn't be mad because it's like we could have had that. Like if you weren't going to pay Brian Burns, like I got a feeling that you knew that you weren't going to pay Brian Burns.
Yeah.
So if you weren't going to pay Brian Burns, and Chicago initially asked for him or Derrick Brown, and you willingly gave up DJ Moore. Of course, this was Scott Federer, who's no longer with the team.
Yeah, it's Tepper.
But it's like, bro, like that could have, if you know you're going to get a new quarterback, why not have a wide receiver already there. You know what I'm saying? Like what's the thought process?
Yeah.
And so that's the part where it's just like, man, this team is ran so poorly. I'm going to give Dan Morgan a chance. I'm going to give Dan Morgan a chance because now, and I'll say this, before I was a little bit critical of what this defense will look like for the next coming years because all these guys are on short contracts. And right now I'm looking at it saying good.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm going to be real, bro. I don't like this Evero scheme. I don't know that he's done anything to build on a defense. Like Ron Rivera, John Fox had a good defense. Ron Rivera had a good defense. Matt Rule still had a pretty good defense, right? And the defense, you know, for a little bit was okay under Reich, but that was built off of everything from the coaches before, and it was playing at an optimal level right as Steve Wilkes was, you know, making his push towards the end of 2022. And now to take this defense, and yes, there's been some guys traded away. There's been some guys that have, you know, gone, you know, to other places through free agency and things like that. But now the Carolina Panthers with this bad of a defense is something I just don't recognize. And it's very sad to see.
It stinks. It does stink, especially like you talk about some of the guys that they let go. I mean, look at Frankie Luvu today for Washington, 2.5 sacks, couple tackles for a loss. You know, fumble recovery. Oh, and just happened to be the second-round pick that the Bears used in the Bryce Young deal in 2023, that draft pick. Oh, Tyreek Stevenson. Remember that guy that was locking it down at corner today for the Bears? Oh, I'm just like,
you know how many Commanders fans have come up to me and said, man, I really love Frankie Luvu. Why'd you let him go? It's like, well, you know, I get it, you know, because they needed to get an offensive line. So I'm not going to be upset with that. But I feel you, though. I absolutely feel you. The Carolina Panthers had players. But I do want to say this. It's not all doom and gloom. I want to say a very big shout out to Trevin Wallace.
Yeah.
Like, you know, maybe some of the communication issues were on him.
I think so. I think so. Rookie, and plus Chicago went tempo. They knew that.
And that's going to be tough for anybody, right? And Chicago going tempo is going to be tough for anybody. But Trevin Wallace had 15 tackles, 10 solo. It's a pretty good day.
It's a good day.
He was everywhere. Like when he finally starts getting it, he's going to be a really good player. And so I feel like, you know, for the future, that's the guy that Dan Morgan needs to peg, and like we need to build our defense around him. What's going to help him be the best that he can be? And that's the guy that you're looking at for the future. I don't think that Robert Saleh is going to have a job at the end of the season
for the Jets. Yeah.
So Robert, I think the Panthers might be in the market for a new DC.
Yeah,
possibly.
I agree.
I would say, you know, your friend Alex Canales, as Jonathan Vilma called him. Because Jonathan Vilma doesn't know anybody's name.
And Deontay Thompson.
Deontay Thompson. I did hear that. I did hear Deontay Thompson.
Like, dude, you're a broadcaster.
He did no prep before this game.
Nope. I don't think Evero did either, but that's fine. Go on.
Well, that's the thing. Robert, hey, go ahead and look at some real estate in Charlotte, man. Your boy Alex Canales is going to probably be looking for another DC. So, you know, Charlotte's a nice place, man. I hope you find a nice place. You can live Mallet Creek area is pretty good. You can live in South Park. Ballantyne, if you want to live in Ballantyne. Okay. You know, that's not Lake Norman area. Just, you know, these are some nice places, man. I think you would enjoy it.
But also, quick, by the way, shout out Jalen Coker, first career catch.
Yeah, shout out Jalen Coker.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, that dude was not afraid to lower the shoulder. Not afraid to lower the shoulder. Good day for Jalen Coker getting 4 catches for 68 yards today. Good on him.
I know what they're gonna say about me in the comments.
What's that?
But I was just shocked to see Bryce throw it down the field. He threw that like first pass. I was like, what? That ball went over 15 yards. What are you talking? What is this?
I said, I'm not putting any stock into this.
I'm not putting any stock into it.
Okay.
But I was just like, okay, like we're just going to like, you know, nickel and dime for the rest of this game or whatever until we get out of here. I'm thinking, you know, like screen pass, slant. And this guy just went, it's like, whoa, what is this?
Then sure enough, 2 passes later, almost gets picked. Should have been picked.
Yeah, should have been picked, but you know,
should have been picked. But
you know, Mr. Simone Biles just couldn't come up with it.
It's all right.
And that's why he plays defense.
Yeah. Well, he gets a gold medal today for being on that defense. That's darn sure.
Hey, man. And look, Ryan Poles, is that his name?
Yeah.
He gets a gold medal for fleecing the Panthers, bro. You fleeced us, bro.
Man,
I would clap, but I gotta hold this mic because just like the Panthers, my stand here is broken. So
well, they're gonna make a defensive stand in the red zone, that's for darn sure. That's going to wrap things up for Panthers Playbook. Again, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Panthers Playbook brought to you by Carolina Ford Dealers. Wherever you go, whatever you do, with the power and technology of a Ford F-150 on your team, it's game on to your Carolina Ford dealer today.
I'm not going to make any promises about next week versus.
My only promise is there will be no promise.
My promise is Bijan Robinson might go off, but hey, that's it.
Hey, you know what?
Wait a minute. That's if they use him, though. That's it, because Atlanta has this weird thing where it's just like Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. Let's not use you guys. Hey, Algier, get on in here.
Hey, you know what? Right now against the Panthers defense, it's a stat day. Yeah. It is a stat day.
Oh boy,
it is.
Ray McLeod is going to have his revenge day.
It's a stat day.
Ray McLeod is going to have his revenge
defense.
Day.
This Panthers defense is get right stat day. It's get right day. It's stat day.
Hey, you trying to get paid? Oh, the Panthers on your schedule? Get paid, young brother. Get paid. Get paid, young brother. Get paid.
We out.